Oh, hello everyone, and what a week it has been on the Elevate series. And I truly cannot think of anybody better to round out our week than Dr. Tiwa Osunfisan. Osunfisan, jeez. Tiwa, thank you for your patience as I'm learning your last name to say that well. Vilhauer is one that everybody gets wrong. So I just want you to know how much I have truly enjoyed getting to know Dr. Tiwa. Really, I think the most new relationship that I've had out of anybody else on the series, but one that has quickly come to the top of the charts of who I respect. Tiwa is a double board certified psychiatrist. I don't know what is going on with my words right now, Tiwa. Maybe I'm feeling the importance of this moment because Tiwa has an incredible message to get out to the world around mental health. It is Mental Health Awareness Month. She has a book that's coming out next month that I fully believe in. I was fortunate enough to get an advance copy of this book. It's phenomenal. I mean, she truly needs to get her message out in a bigger way. So everybody, I really want you to pay close attention to her wisdom, to her education. I want to make sure that you're able to share this with somebody that you think might be struggling right now, which is a lot of people, whether you know that or not. I mean, I think we're all under a lot of pressure right now. I think we just noticed that I must have like a tired brain right now because even that little glitch in my mind, still recovering from my own concussion. So Tiwa, thank you so much for carving out time. I know you're working around the clock between your client load and preparing for this book launch, a mother of three. Just thank you for sharing your wisdom here with me today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure getting to know you.
What I want to start with just some real talk, Tiwa. What are you really seeing right now? On the series so far, I've been talking about how, people are a little bit more guarded, how people are kind of leaning into avoidance and escapism techniques because they're just so overwhelmed and overburdened by all of the change, all that they have to process and integrate. And I just don't think that we have the tools. I don't think that we have the knowledge or the skill set or the mentorship or support or relationships to navigate this much all at once. But I mean, you're the expert, not me. What are you seeing right now?
That's a great question, Amber, because of there's so much like with this initiative. First of all, it's great that you brought it back from 2020 COVID year, but since that time, it doesn't seem like we have recovered. There's so much. There was isolation, and with that, there was access to everything, and so you have an overload of information, an overload of everything. And unfortunately, that fries the brain because you're trying to multitask different things. The brain wasn't meant to be exposed to that much of information. I mean, this is information we should gain over the years. And now you can gain it over 5 minutes or 10 minutes. And that does something to the brain because the brain feels overwhelmed. And
Yes.
unfortunately, there are consequences. You have ripple effect from their emotions. The capacity is decreased now because now we know too much, but too much too soon to be able to handle what we're meant to handle in bits. Now we're needing to have to face it, and there's a need to break it down. So, like you said, there's just a whole lot. The trends I'm observing, leaders are trying to cope. Entrepreneurs are trying to cope with their even employees, emotional wellness, mental health. I mean, now there's awareness, but now not so many resources are there. We talk about it, but then what do I do? Emotional intelligence, is one of the future. It is the future. Is the future commodity that is going to help everyone. Like, how do you handle your emotions? Because you can get overwhelmed, and that can just change everything. So yes, the emotional piece of it, the behavioral piece of it is what we're facing now. Beyond, there was the isolation, and with isolation is there disconnection, is there relationship, everything is impacted.
Oh my goodness. I mean, I just had like 18 questions I wanted to ask you about that. So Yes. One, let's start with overwhelm. What do we do when that happens? It was really interesting for me, Tiwa, when I had the concussion a few months back because I couldn't access my brain's abilities that I was so used to. And it was like, it was so far away. And it really gave me an interesting perspective. First of all, it made me really appreciate when my brain is performing well, which thankfully I've come a long, long way in my recovery, which is awesome. But I learned a lot back then, just a few months ago, that when I was recovering from the concussion, the things that helped me was to, number one, I was very aware of my environment and, making sure that I wasn't too overstimulated. The second thing that I think helped me the most was I started taking naps every afternoon. And I guess that was just helping with the recovery a little bit more. But what do you recommend that we do when we get into that state of overwhelm? Because it's scary. It's like you just can't move beyond that. What do you think? What do we do?
I'm going to echo what you said. Great. I'm sorry to hear about the concussion, but very glad about what you have done so far. You're saying the right things, awareness, gratitude, these are great things that would actually help us in the moment. But what I'll share what I do and what I recommend to be it my clients, my patients, family, the what I call the deep clear framework. So you want to think of the three I's. You want to identify, which is what you were saying, the awareness. Most people, we just move and do things. We're not paying attention. We pay attention to everything else but ourselves. So some of us even run away from ourselves. But the first thing first is be it acceptance, be it identify, be present, which we call mindfulness. Be present in that moment. Acknowledge what you're feeling. Acknowledge that feeling of overwhelm. I feel stuck. What exactly it is. Sometimes I tell people, name it so that you can at least connect with yourself at that moment. So that's the first. So I call it three I's. So the first I is the identify. The second one is interrupt that running, spinning, interrupted. That multitasking, you're getting all this information interrupted. Our brain wasn't made to multitask. We fry our brain. Our attention span increases. I mean, I would love to do it too. I want to have so many tabs, so many things.
I know.
If you check my computer, you can see several tabs open. But at the end of the day, we're not more productive. We're just spinning. We have this sense of I'm doing much, but really not being productive. So that interrupt, I recommend it. Like one, be aware. Two, stop it. Just stop it. And then three, like what you were saying, integrate something that would help you. Be it scriptures, be it grounding, be it gratitude, be it what has helped you in the past. Bring it to that moment. I'm very one of my mantra that I love so much is embrace each moment. Just be present right there. Don't run. I know you want to run, but stay and just give it what it takes. Sit with it, identify it, interrupt it, and just integrate whatever. If it's a nap, I love the idea of your nap. I'm an advocate of naps. Power strategic nap, I call it. Even if it's 10 minutes, get it. And then by the time you wake up, like, where were we? I have the energy. Let's go. So whatever it would take for you to rejuvenate, for you to be renewed, do it.
Yeah, it really was a game changer. I'm not normally a nap person. I have a hard time taking breaks in the middle of the day because I love that feeling of just flow state. And I try to stay in that as long as I can. So to interrupt that, the me beforehand just didn't like that idea. But when I was forced into it, I have to tell you, I loved it. It was just, I woke up with such clarity in the afternoon, and it really helped me just keep going even stronger. And so definitely recommend you get your nap on, everyone. And I want to ask you next about emotional intelligence. And, I was talking to Dr. Ryan Williamson yesterday about this because he was talking about how our amygdala is almost getting hijacked right now. And we're just in this constant state of stress. And I was letting him know that I'm a highly sensitive person. I do have a sensitive heart. I think I am sensitive to my environment. I was raised in an environment where there's just a lot of chaos and stress. And so that was my normal. I mean, that was comfortable to me. I was around a lot of emotional overreaction. And again, I just thought that was normal. That's the way that everybody operated until I realized that's not true. And it wasn't even until my adult years that I feel like I really got to dive into emotional regulation. And it's still interesting how my body's tendency, Tiwa, is almost to activate into stress and this emotional response. I don't know if it's because that's what was normal back then, but it does seem to be difficult in this environment where there's so much pulling my attention, especially as a single mom, as you know. So, what can you tell me and everybody else about how to get better control, how to have better emotional intelligence, and what that's going to do to impact our experience moving forward?
Well, Amber, thank you for sharing that. I would I would say yes to several things you said about the background, because we're a function of nurture and nature. You may have heard that, the genetics, the epigenetics and stuff like that, which, pretty much is just there's some things that your DNA sequence may be turned on or off based on your environment. So while
Oh,
there's the genetic piece, there is that nature where, like you said, did you grow up in a chaotic environment, a calm environment? Oftentimes, our brain we would replicate or duplicate the function of our brain, the atmosphere of our brain. So the way a child is born, sure, with nurture, there's nurture, there is safety, trust, there is calm, there's peace. It's been shown the brain would develop very well. But when there's chaos, there is insecurity, there is trauma. That's
yeah.
where trauma comes in. And you're like, you're still carrying the trauma from 20, 30 years. Yes, because they don't disappear. They actually function. They are stored in the body, stored in the way the brain was developed. And if you're not aware of it, you can't fix it. Just like any wound. If you don't even know the wound is there, you're not going to take better care of it. So we're a function of nature, what we took from our parents, what we got from them, but the nurture, which can change everything that happens. And the home is the first classroom for any child, and that child goes out of that home to kind of replicate. And so in some cases, depending on what goes on, that child may not be attracted to the opposite. So for example,
Mm,
for someone that is so used to chaos, they actually often get attracted to chaos. That when there's no chaos, they actually bring the chaos because that's what they're used to. It feels abnormal. Like, I'm not used to this. So until they actually trigger that chaos, they may not rest because that is their norm. So that can happen where, from what you're saying, what do I do now with all of this? Again, is more so with emotional intelligence, self-awareness. I would tell you that not so many people are self-aware, Amber. Not so many.
no,
For
no,
you, you're one of the maybe 5-10% of the population that is aware, because you can't fix what you don't know. Okay,
exactly.
so yeah, so with so emotional intelligence, there are usually 4 pillars that we look for. So the self-awareness, because when you're aware, then you can be, okay, this is the way I'm feeling. I'm
Right.
about to speak now with Amber. Am I feeling anxious? Am I feeling what is it? I name it, I'm aware of it, not run from it. You may have heard about the 4 different responses that we have when we're
Mhm.
faced with, for example, a lion. You go to a jungle and then there's a lion, and then should you run towards the lion or run from the lion, or just freeze and get eaten by the lion, or just whatever the lion wants me to do, I'll do. Stand, jump, whatever. And those are the different responses. So we have the fight, the flight, the freeze, and we have the fun response. So with and the different things. So some of us, we just keep moving, and that's you're always doing stuff, the anxiety, always on the go, restless. That may be the way you cope when you're stressed out. While some people just, I don't want to move, I don't want to talk, they isolate. And that can happen. Or some, it's just like they're people pleasers. And you would hear that, in some abusive relationship, codependency, where They are there, but they can't leave because they're like, you know what? Whatever you want me to do. And unfortunately, some of us are raised that way by our parents, where you're like, you don't have a right to your emotion. I tell you, you can't cry, you can't be angry, you don't have a right to anything except what I tell you. Unfortunately, that would go with that child. So that's self-awareness. Be aware. So this happened to me in my childhood, be aware. And then how do you regulate it? So those are the tools. Okay, is it deep breathing? Is it anything that activates the vagus nerve? That's what you want to
That's
think
the
about.
Vegas.
Because the vagus nerve runs through our body and tells the brain, I'm okay now. Stop. Because the way God made the brain, survival mode, that was part of it. Get out of there. Just survive first. Self-protect, just first of all, protect yourself. Afterwards, the vagus nerve, when you start doing deep breathing, whether it's swimming, whether it's grounding, then you're telling the brain, I am safe now. When you tell the brain you're safe, everything comes back to normal.
It's true.
Just like imagine running from the lion. When
It's
you get into your car, into your room, you're like, oh my God, I survived it. The lion is gone. Suddenly, your heart rate, your blood pressure, everything returns to normal. And that's pretty much what happens with everything we face in our lives, whether we're aware of it. Situations come and we just need to recognize it, pay attention to it. It's okay. I don't want to deal with this right now. Be intentional about it. So that is the self-regulation. Then you have the social awareness, your relationship. So you treat others the way you treat yourself. The way you treat others reflect the way you treat yourself. So depending on relationship, you actually you can't give what you don't have. So if you're treating yourself well, you're likely going to treat others well. If you're criticizing yourself, you're likely going to criticize others. So whatever you do all the time with others, it comes back right back at you because that's what you're doing. And again, if you're not aware, it would affect your relationship, how you show up everywhere, and what you do about it. So once you know, like, okay, I'm with Amber right now. What is going on? Am I talking too much? Am I not letting her talk? Am I interrupting her? Am I letting her speak? Am I letting her feel seen, valued, respected? Am I doing all of that? So once you're aware of the way you present, then you can at least know what you do when you are with others. So some people can have good self-awareness, but bad social awareness, or they're not aware. So those are like the major pillars, and that's where usually I help people. Over the years, I've tried to help myself, and with my being a psychiatrist, I also help others, so that you're aware of that.
Gosh, do you see why I love this woman, everyone? My gosh. Wow, Dr. Tiwa, so much in there that was really helpful and things that I had never heard before. So, geez, very grateful. I bring it up because in all of the people that I've been talking to, there's this almost panic that is creating an inability for people to problem solve. They have this short-term stress of, oh my gosh, my business just dropped, 20 to 60% revenue in the last 45 days. How am I going to survive this moment? But then you have these reports saying that AI is going to replace 300 million jobs in less than 5 years, and that 85% of the jobs that will be on the marketplace at that time haven't even been invented yet. So then you have an entrepreneur who is trying to fix this problem on top of their normal daily experience while troubleshooting and predicting what they need to learn and do in order to, take this evolutionary leap. Now, I'm not a doom and gloom person, Tiwa, as you know. I'm actually quite positive. I think there's a creative solution here. I think we're going to be safe. I feel protected. I feel connected, like all of that. So this series is about acknowledging what people's experience is. It's valid and true. And you don't have to stay stuck in that panic. So what I love what you just spoke about is really cultivating that muscle of self-awareness seems critical. Like that seems the root of all of this possibility is this awareness. So what can we do to cultivate that a little bit more. And then with this awareness, what is true? Am I being chased by 100 lions in this moment, like my brain and heart are feeling like that's happening? No, I'm actually safe in my environment right now. And even just saying I am safe and doing some of this deep breathing, doing some research on the vagus nerve, and being more mindful of your environment as a way of protecting your body from not going into that state of panic, so that you free up more mental resource and bandwidth to then tackle the next thing that's in front of you. That I'm reflecting back what my interpretation is of what you just shared. I kind of have to ask Tiwa, like, being double board certified, is this easy for you, or are you human and you have challenge with this too? Am I allowed to ask that question?
Oh yes, I'm human. I'm not a robot. I'm human. So yeah, no, it's not easy. Especially when the brain is almost in the negative state, very negative, very bitter. We're quick to see what is not working. We're quick to see where we're failing. We're quick to compare. We're quick to not see what we're doing well. So it's not easy, because while you're trying to even tell yourself some good things, sometimes the little thing you're not doing almost feels like the imperfection. And so it's not easy, but over the years, those are the things I've come, and especially with my faith, it's helped me to understand that you don't have to be perfect, and that is okay. You don't have to have it all. So I think when we chase perfection, we hurt ourselves, because it's a delusion. It's a delusion that you would never, like I tell people, I'm like, if you were perfect, you wouldn't be on earth. Those that are perfect are in heaven for a reason. The only person that was perfect came and he left, and that was Jesus. So that's why I see it, where I'm not trying to be perfect. I think I took that off the table. Growing up as a child, we all want to be that favorite student, favorite child, favorite, everything favorite. But it's a delusion. You just want to do your best. Excellence is good, but people confuse excellence with perfection. Excellence is just you doing the best that you can, the best possible. So, but being perfect, I feel like, does that contribute to? So yes, for me, I've had to separate. I've had to disconnect from that delusion of you need to be perfect and be everything to everybody. So as an entrepreneur, like you were saying, if an entrepreneur is listening to me, what I'll say is, sit down. What is the best thing? What is your unique? What do you have that is really unique to you? Everybody has one. Everybody has their strength. The way God made everyone, everybody's unique. There are no two same people. No, nobody's the same. Even a set of twins, they're not the same. One came at 9 o'clock, one came at 9:01. They didn't come at the same time. So they can never be the same. So one thing I use that has really helped me is SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis, a lot of organizations use it. Use it for yourself. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Your opportunities and your threats. So that threat is where AI can come in if you're not sure. But what are the opportunities? What can you bring? So your opportunities maximize your strength, while your threats, they bring out your weaknesses. So you need to really address all of them, because they fuel one another. So I would encourage that entrepreneur that is wondering, what am I going to do? This is the time to look in, not out, not compare. What is Tiwa doing? What is Amber doing? And do what Tiwa is doing. No, Tiwa was called for that. If you're not called for it, you're going to be disgraced, because you don't have the grace for it. So you're looking what is your own unique? What is your superpower? Everybody has it. It's just a matter of looking word, find out where AI can help you with that. I'm learning that myself. So what I'm sharing is what I'm having to learn. I'm developing courses. I'm using AI to help me develop that. So my thoughts, I'm using AI to, what can I do? How can I leverage all these things that I have? How can I use AI to? So do what you can. And above all, focus on what you have now. What can you do now? Not, future is good, but what can you do? Small steps. Are
Yes.
there courses you need to take? Is there a mentor you need to talk to? Is there somebody that has skills in this? So how can you grow up, not diminish? How can AI work for you, not against you? Because again, like you said, the lion piece, when you feel like somebody or something is against you, you are in panic mode. You can't think. And that it feels like a shade of brown of the lion feels like you're going to be eaten. The lion is here. So you really need to deal with that first so that you can bring out your best and you can show up with your best, even for your employees. They too are looking for leadership. And they
Absolutely.
want authentic leaders that can be vulnerable, like, hey, I'm struggling too, but this is what I've done. So I hope you're able to get some tips of what you can start now, your uniqueness. You are not the same. Everybody else is taken, as Oscar Wilde said, you focus on you, what makes you you, and develop it. That's what I'll say.
God, so wise, so wise. I just don't want this moment to end. Okay, I have to ask though, in our last few minutes, you strike me as just such a grounded, consistent, nurturing, loving, patient person, Tiwa. And I've had several interactions with you now, so I can say this confidently. I imagine and have imagined since our first interaction what you must be like as a mother. And, I know from my own parenting experience how sometimes when you're just at the edge of your rope or you're exhausted and then you don't stay cool, calm, and collected in front of your kid. And I also know the importance of, especially motherhood for me. I'm breaking generational chains with the way that I am parenting Clay, and I take it so seriously. It's the most important job that I have. Just really taking care of myself, rewiring my brain and my connections that I made long ago so that he can have a different experience, and he is, and it's incredible. But with you in particular, I'm curious, what advice would you give to parents on how they can, support, nurture their kids? Like there's almost this piece of taking care of yourself so you're not outletting that onto your kids. There's also something about being really present with your kids when you have the time to be with them versus just working all the time over here. I guess a long way of saying I'm curious how you are parenting, right now, and any advice that you can give to other parents as well that are juggling entrepreneurship.
Yeah, that's a great question, Amber. Because yes, I'm going to admit I struggle some days. And like you said, it's being authentic. So I'm very passionate, or I just like to be authentic. So I tell the kids, I tell my kid, I'm struggling, and if I mess up, I apologize.
Me
I'm
too.
not too big to tell you I'm wrong, and I'm very mindful that I'm role modeling that.
Yeah.
They're going to do exactly what they see me and my husband do, and that's very critical. That's where, again, self-awareness, being present, not perfect. I don't want to be a perfect parent. No, I don't want to be a perfect parent. I want to be an authentic parent. I want them to be able to say, Mom messed up, but immediately she apologized. And guess what? She worked on it. And she gave us that space to be who we are, just authentic, psychological space, safe place. And that's what I do. That's what I show. And I at times tell them about my job, what I do, like, yeah, what do you think? And, just, and whatever time I have, I'm just present. So they were like, oh, you need to spend 2 hours with your kid. I don't have 2 hours. So if it's 10 minutes, if it's 20 minutes, if it's 30 minutes, I make it count. I make it memorable that when I'm there, I'm there. That's really what I do. So I call it work-life integration. There's nothing, it used to be work-life balance. There's nothing called work-life balance anymore.
No.
No, because
Integration.
balancing means I'll stop here. This is my life as an entrepreneur. This is my life as a psychiatrist. This is my life as a mom. This is my life as a wife. This is my life as a sibling. What is left? This is my life for me. No, we blend it because Tiwa is Tiwa, the whole package. You get the whole package. depending. So at the end of the day, I just embrace again. That's where that was where, I was inspired, like, Tiwa, just embrace each moment. Make it count. Be authentic about it. Be bold, own it, accept it, grow, and just do the best that you can. That's it. So that's what I'll tell that parent, Amber. Like, do the best you can. Don't take your life too seriously. But above all, your kids are watching. And the way you show up for them in your weaknesses, that's what they're gonna do. That's what that makes their future, their inner voice. That makes it for them. So well done, Amber, for being an intentional parent, an intentional mom to Clay. So well done.
It's not easy, but it's worth it. I don't think that anything worthwhile in life is easy, and remembering that is really important in moments like this too, that it doesn't have to be easy, but making sure that you are connected to people that can support you and remind you of these things. I mean, that's why I'm so grateful for our relationship, Dr. Tiwa. You are going to hear so much more from Tiwa on my platform moving forward. I am absolutely promoting her book launch. I want her on my stage in September. She has done the work. She continues to do the work. And I want to surround myself with people like that. So let that be an invitation for you to consider, everyone, this weekend. Who am I surrounding myself with? What am I exercising? My muscle of awareness. Who would I be proud to be in the world? How do I want to show up for other people? And also recognizing that a lot of people aren't as healthy up here and they don't have access to people like Dr. Tiwa. But you did, for whatever divine reason, you are here in this moment or watching the replay and you got access to this information. So I wish you would share it with other people and make sure that you are sharing Dr. Tiwa's website, looking into her courses, and asking for help if that would be a next step that's being called in for you as well. Tiwa, I don't want to take any more of your time because I know that we were kind of back to back today, but thank you so much for everything you said on this session. It really meant a lot to me personally.
Thanks for having me, Amber. I appreciate it.
All right, guys, have such a beautiful weekend and we'll see you next week on the series. Thank you.